Hello there once again, everyone. Eric Patton. Thanks again for taking some of your valuable time to take a look at this video. On this video, I'm going to be talking about preservation of wealth. If you really want to preserve your wealth in these times of uncertainty, there are some things you can do that will really help you out coming out the other side of what most people are starting to believe is going to be a crash of not only the dollar, but many of the different debt-based fiat currencies around the world. You're hearing more and more every day about all the challenges because of all the debt that's out there. And I can tell you that debt is by design. You can look into some of my other videos if you'd like to learn more about the specifics. But if you're serious about preserving your wealth, the things you need to do is convert that paper before it becomes completely worthless, which the webbots, the numbers, the history, all points toward late 2012. If you look, for example, at our history from 1913, when they introduced the Federal Reserve, as all debt-based currencies, over 3,800 of them in our history, they start out healthy, and then they become worth less, and then they become worth less, until eventually they're worthless. In the case of the dollar, looking back to 1913, we've now lost an average of 1% a year. 98 years later, we've lost 98% of our purchasing power. If that trend was continued, a 98-year trend on record and recorded for just 2 more years, 2012, we would then have zero value in the US dollar. Now, what you need to do is, while you still have some purchasing power left, and we're fortunate to still have cheap food in America, you're already hearing about the inflation in other parts of the world because of the manipulation of the big banks that run the Federal Reserve. They're the ones that create the debt-based currency that creates all these problems. And anytime you've got debt-based currencies all throughout history, it's just a matter of time before the debt, the interest on the debt from the creation of the money. And if you're not familiar with the debt-based currency, watch my other videos. It's very important that you understand how that is an unsustainable system, and it's not if it's going to crash, it's simply when. They can only manipulate so long before the interest on the creation of the money cannot be paid. And basically it's like the poor guy that's trying to pay off his credit cards. He gets to the point where all the credit cards he can apply for, all the money he can make, he can't pay the interest on the debt. And what happens when that happens? He goes bankrupt, right? Countries, they go bankrupt. Currencies, they crash. Okay, so bottom line, I've got other videos to go into more detail on that. It's important that you educate yourself on that because it is for real. And I know a lot of people call people like me conspiracy nuts and so on. But if you've been paying attention, a conspiracy is when one or more, 2 or more parties conspire to do something that maybe they wouldn't do, they wouldn't like other people to know about. And so I think you can agree there's a lot of that going on all over the world. Big business, big banks, and so on. And it's being proven. Okay, it's no longer a conspiracy theory, it's conspiracy fact. So one of the things that's happening right now is they're forcing the inflation into the Middle East to create the turmoil over there by design, China. And what happens, they cannot contain it. Okay, all this excess liquidity that created the dot-com bubble crash, created the real estate bubble crash, is now creating a commodities bubble. It's not just the dollars, there's other debt-based currencies that are in big trouble. All of these currencies look for somewhere to go. Where they usually end up going in times of uncertainty is back to precious metals, gold, silver, and of course, because you can't eat gold and silver, it's very important that you have a store of food. And so in my other videos, I talk about specifically why you need high-calorie foods like rice and beans and pastas and canned food, things that you can store for at least a year or more. Because if you don't have that stored, chances are, even if there's food available, you won't be able to justify the prices when hyperinflation hits. In Germany, a wheelbarrow of money didn't get you a loaf of bread. Last year in Zimbabwe, trillion-dollar notes did not get you a loaf of bread. Okay, so it's important that you plan ahead now. Once you've got at least 6 months of food built up for your family, you need to now convert your paper into precious metals. Okay, gold, silver, either one, you're going to be much better off. I personally believe, because of the fundamentals involved in silver, that silver is where you want to put your money. Not only can you get more of it because it's cheaper, even though it's come up a lot, it's extremely undervalued. Real quickly, let me give you a historical perspective. For over 5,000 years, you were always ranging somewhere between, say, 12 and 1, never really more than 15 to 1, as far as how many ounces of silver that it took you to buy an ounce of gold. Okay? Now, what's happened with the manipulation recently, for lack of a better term, the elite, Illuminati, Bilderberg groups, whatever you want to call them, the puppet masters that pull the strings on the governments and the militaries and the big business nowadays around the world, they basically are the ones that control, when these bubbles are created. They cut them off, crash them, they go in, buy everything for pennies on the dollars and start over again. And these cycles, okay, well, we're at the end of this cycle. And so what you need to do is take advantage of the fact that that manipulation has kept silver prices very low. Only now that the manipulation has been exposed recently through the CFTC hearings have you now had the silver trying to find its rightful value. So quick facts, you might have heard this on my other videos, but for those of you that have not, let's do a quick little snapshot, okay? We talked about the 12 to 15 to 1 5,000 year history. More recently, let's look at 1980, when you had 10 billion ounces of silver above ground, and there was only about 1 billion ounces of gold. And so it was logical, it made sense that gold was worth more than silver. Now what's happened since 1980, because silver's been so cheap, it's been encouraged to be used up industrially because once again, for lack of a better term, the elites out there, they don't want the common man. They already control almost all the gold, okay? They don't want the common man to be able to come out the other side of this mess in a position of strength. And so people like me that put away silver for the long term, we're not letting it go until it's over $500 an ounce. And they're aware of this. So it's easier for them to simply destroy the silver. And when I say destroy it, I'm not talking grinding it up, I'm talking industrially. They encourage all these patents through the various businesses that they own. And what they do is they create scenarios where silver is used up at an incredibly alarming rate. And it's not something that they can create. Remember, it's an element, it's not a compound. And so because they cannot create it, they're trying to use it up. And so we're using up, every year since 1991, more silver than we're mining out of the earth. As a result, we've gone from that 10 to 1 ratio of 10 billion ounces of silver and 1 billion ounces of gold to where today we sit at 7 billion ounces of gold, because remember, gold is hoarded. Gold is put away. There's as much gold as was ever mined still out there today. However, silver sits less than 1 billion ounces as we speak today in 2011. And that's generous. You're hearing estimates as low as 500 million ounces of actual physical silver. We use up almost 1 billion just in industrial, and now the investment is really starting to pick up. People are starting to wake up now, and they want to convert their paper into real money while they still can. So what this means is that ratio that we talked about used to be 12 to 1, 15 to 1. Well, guess what? Right now, even though we're looking at 7 billion ounces of gold and 1 billion ounces of silver, as we speak, you're looking at it takes 38 ounces of silver to buy 1 ounce of gold. I believe silver is one of the absolute best opportunities, and it's kind of ironic that the elites, through manipulation, through their JP Morgan, SLV, ETFs, selling hundreds of millions of ounces of silver that don't exist. I call it phantom silver, because they've now been exposed, and basically they sell about 100 ounces of phantom silver, paper ETF silver, for every 1 ounce of real physical silver that's behind it. And so it's really important that you convert your paper, whether it's in your checking account, your 401k. Most people can borrow against their 401k. And so do that, pay yourself interest and get physical silver. You'd be better off if you can't do that just taking the penalty on it, because when your dollars are worthless, you're going to be kicking yourself. If you had $1 million or $2, you thought you were in good shape. It's just like what happened, with the stock market. People overnight lost lots and lots of money. Well, that's nothing compared to when the dollar completely crashes. So do your own research. You don't have to take my word for this, but if you get off the mainstream media and you quit being sheeple, as they like to call you, you can go ahead and actually, through the internet and through alternative media, you can educate yourself. Sites like mine at isncoinsbusiness.com allow you to get some true facts, and there's a lot of patriots out there that are trying to get the word out and help people see what's really going on in the world. And so, bottom line, if you're interested in learning more, you can call me, Eric Padden. I can be reached at 858-705-2487. And we can talk about ways to preserve your wealth. I found when I did all my research on all the different opportunities out there, I found there were basically 2 programs that appealed to me the most. One of them is the ISN opportunity. That one builds the best residual income. You can get anywhere from 1 coin auto-shipped each month. These are MS69 coins, and so they're non-confiscatable collector's coins. And I think that made the most sense to me if you're looking at it from a business angle and you want to not only share with people how to put themselves in a better position, but make a little money along the way. And talk about a win-win network marketing opportunity. Instead of having a bunch of supplements or makeup or shakes or chocolates or whatever it might be, the worst scenario is a year down the road, you're sitting with at least 12 of these. Just signed up a gentleman last night from Texas who's going to get 10 sent out every month. So the other thing that you might want to do is other people tend to look at this more from the bullion angle, and they're not necessarily wanting to do a business opportunity, but they do see that the actual silver and getting out of paper is starting to make sense to more and more people as people are waking up now. And so if you're interested in just getting bullion at the guaranteed lowest, wholesale rates, then you might be interested in the preservation of wealth opportunity. I have links to both of those on my ISN Coins Business website. And so if you look at the lower left underneath the front page of my blog, you'll see the buy bullion at wholesale. And if you click on there, it'll tell you about preservation of wealth. That particular program is more like kind of having a Costco membership, but for actual gold, silver, even platinum, palladium. And you can buy everything from coins, which are put out by governments, to rounds, which are put out by mints. Everything from 1/10 ounce, even 1/10 ounce silver, believe it or not, because in hyperinflation, you're going to want small amounts to barter with. My personal favorites are the 1 ounce coins. I put all my 2011 coins in plastic containers because they actually quit printing 2011s now. Also, the maple leaves, they ran out of silver. So try and tell me there's not a silver shortage when the mints are not even printing these things, or I shouldn't say printing, but making these things anymore. And so because of that, if this is another short year, like 1996 was in the case of the Eagle, that's going to have the value really shoot up. So I highly encourage you to get a hold of some of these 11s while they still have them. And what the preservation of wealth does is basically you pay one time a $249 fee. There's no monthly auto ships if you don't want to, though that is an option to have coins sent out every month. Bottom line, that $249 allows you to buy as much or as little as you want. You have no obligations beyond that, but now you can actually buy the gold, the silver, the palladium, the platinum at wholesale rates. The same rates that these 10 mega mints, or I should say mega dealers, get when they deal directly with the mints. And so you're cutting out the middleman. So if you're talking about buying 100 ounces, 200 ounces or more, you'll definitely save that membership fee back in a very short period of time. If you'd like to refer other people, you can go ahead and make $100 anytime that you refer somebody else to that program, and that's called preservation of wealth. If you look in the buy your bullion at wholesale section of my blog, at the bottom you can click on that and it'll give you the website there, and you can go ahead and join that program if you'd like, and simply just buy at wholesale. Okay. Now if you'd like to, and you go with my ISN Coins opportunity, as a courtesy to my teammates, not only do we help you set up a blog just like mine for absolutely free. The ISN Coins is nothing more than $149 to get started, including your first coin. And so if you go that route, I will go ahead and I'll let you buy the bullion at my cost, and I'll just have it drop shipped to you. For people close by, I just say here's a roll and I just replace it myself. For people that are a little farther away, I'll just drop ship it to you, knowing that I'm getting mine replaced at the moment I place that order. And so I'll do that as a courtesy. If you feel more comfortable doing it yourself, you can simply join Preservation of Wealth yourself and go ahead and buy it at wholesale on your own. The bottom line is, whether you go through me or go through someone else, it's time to take action. If you continue to wait and not take this seriously, you're going to be one of those people that when you go to Costco or wherever you go, they're going to say, sorry, we've got to cut you off here. We cannot have people hoarding. Okay? They've actually got the laws manipulated now to where hoarding can be considered an act of terrorism. Growing organic vegetables. Okay, there's a lot of things that should not be illegal, but the Patriot Act has allowed them to do incredible things to take away our rights. So bottom line, make sure that you take action. Remember what Benjamin Franklin said, one of the gentlemen that helped to create the Constitution and the Bill of Rights for this country. And he said, procrastination is the thief of all opportunity. If you don't take action to secure your family's future, who will? Once again, Eric Patton, thanks again for your time. Feel free to give me a call, 858-705-2487, and we can discuss what would be the best action to take for your family and your situation. But one thing's for sure, we need to take action. Have a great day, and thanks again for your time.